Nice to meet you.
And to you, thank you.
Who's Lex Luthor to you,
Um,
Alexander?
yeah. I mean, I think Lex is probably as many different people as people he knows, which is to say, he's a different person to each person he meets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, to me, he's a troubled man who's struggling, with his own feelings of, being abandoned by his father. And, if you describe him from an outsider's perspective, you'd probably say he's evil and narcissistic and greedy and terrifying. But if you describe him from the inside, you'd probably say he's troubled and struggling, and he thinks, in his own way, he's the savior of humanity, and it's his job to defend the human race from this invading alien creature of Superman. So I think there's probably two ways to describe him based on the sympathies you might have.
Yeah. Also, the absent father is a justification. But at the same time, it's very difficult to interpret a character based on a comic book who is human and not exactly, because they belong to a universe of superheroes or fictional heroes, or not exactly creatures that we might identify with.
Yeah,
Yet
exactly.
we have to,
Exactly.
for psychological reasons, have an identification. And I'm wondering, has it been to you puzzling to grasp this character from a certain point?
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean, and I think exactly the way you think, which is that these characters are both kind of, real, and that they're physicalized manifestations and look like people, but they're also kind of, as you say, kind of almost philosophical ideas, or
Yeah.
kind of psychological constructs that as an audience we kind of impose our own belief systems on. And yeah, I think that's a perfect way to look at it, almost. It's funny that you should mention it, because that's how I think of it, in the same way I think of like Greek theater, which I studied in college, and which obviously you must know well,
Yeah.
which is that these characters are explicating their own plights in very specific ways, and then the audience, and in your culture, the audiences in ancient Greece would all go to see it. The entire town would go to see these plays, and they would be able to discuss these kind of broad cultural and sociological issues of the day. And I think that's what this movie does. It allows, using these iconic characters to discuss these broad philosophical ideas of the day, which are in this movie about power, about xenophobia, and that my character is opposed to this alien creature. It's about hegemony, trying to maintain the order and a kind of cultural purity. It's about good versus evil, and a kind of unmitigated, unchecked threats. Whether it be the threat of Superman, or whether it be the threat of the horde of incoming metahumans. And I think you're exactly right to say that we kind of maybe impose our own feelings onto these ideas.
I haven't heard so many Greek-based English words
Yes.
in a long time. Thank you very.
Oh yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that.
Oh yeah, thanks.
Thanks.
Well, so could you read ancient Greek? Or it looks very different than Greek.
Not very different, but it is different.
Can you read Cyrillic?
No,